Speculation surrounding Bayern manager Thomas Tuchel mounts as potential replacements are named. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another video. Hit the like button, subscribe if you're new. Both things will always and forever be greatly appreciated, of course. But without further ado, let's get on with today's video, which is obviously talking about the Bayern Munich situation, which has been absolutely phenomenal to watch this season. Not just in terms of Bayern Munich themselves as a club, but the entire Bundesliga, which is normally and has been predictable for over a decade now, could have an incredible story heading into the final leg of the campaign. Of course, we all know about Bayern Munich. We all know about Bayer Leverkusen as well, because Bayern have had the Bundesliga crown for over a decade now, but this season it is under serious threat by a certain young Spanish manager and his Bayer Leverkusen side. I'm of course talking about the highly rated, high potential of a certain Xabi Alonso, who is the mastermind and the brains behind this phenomenal title charge by Bayer Leverkusen this season, thwarting not just Bayern Munich, but also Thomas Tuchel, and of course their newest and their star signing Harry Kane, who went to Bayern Munich in search of easy trophies, but found the Bundesliga to be a bit more difficult than what he may have first thought it would be. Bayer Leverkusen are invincible so far this season. They're competing on multiple fronts as well, including the Europa League and of course the German Domestic Cup, as well as obviously spearheading this incredible title challenge. They are seemingly not slowing down anytime soon, so much to the point that Leverkusen are 8 points clear at the top of the Bundesliga right now, ahead of Bayern. And Bayern have just been through a very bad couple of weeks in which they've suffered loss after loss after loss. Not just in terms of the Bundesliga, but also their place in the Champions League this season is under serious threat as well. And it's all left the question of how safe is Thomas Tuchel's job. He could be the first manager, like I say, in about 12 to 13 years to have not won the Bundesliga title with Bayern Munich. An absolutely incredible stat, but set by Bayern and by the predecessors of the Bayern management team. Thomas Tuchel could be the first manager to bottle it and lose it in this kind of fashion. It is under serious threat. And last night, there were multiple different sources claiming that there were multiple different managers that were seemingly eyeing up the Bayern Munich job should Bayern decide to obviously sack Thomas Tuchel and bring in a new manager as soon as possible. Whether it be on an interim basis till the end of the season or whether they've got long-term projects in mind, it's safe to say that Thomas Tuchel's job isn't exactly safe. And it's easy to see why. The performances haven't been there, the results haven't been there, and that is why they find themselves 8 points adrift of the now seemingly at the moment in time runaway leaders in Bayer Leverkusen. Xabi Alonso is doing a phenomenal job. It's why we've talked about him a few times on this channel in terms of him being linked with multiple different jobs to other teams that are bigger than Bayer Leverkusen, with all due respect to Leverkusen, of course. But this is a manager who's highly rated and is so far absolutely masterminding an incredible title charge with Bayer Leverkusen, a team that I don't think anybody, or maybe there was one or two people out there that may have predicted Leverkusen to do an incredible thing this season. But overall, don't think many people had predicted Leverkusen to run away with it as they are currently doing right now. And if things are to continue the way they are, Leverkusen are going from strength to strength, whilst Bayern are weakening and weakening with each and every single passing game. It's going to be an incredible end to the season. It's going to be incredible to see if Xabi Alonso can keep up this invincible run that he's on with Leverkusen this season. And even more so, what is the limit for Leverkusen here in terms of this current campaign? The Bundesliga title charge is very much on for them. Like I say, 8 points clear at the top of the table. The Europa League, they are probably going to be strong favourites the more that obviously they continue to go through this run in that competition. And of course the German Cup as well. How high is the ceiling for this Bayer Leverkusen team, masterminded, the brains behind the operation by Xabi Alonso? Last night, like I say, there were numerous different reports from different sources out there that were claiming that Bayern are looking at the potential of different managers to take over Thomas Tuchel, should they decide to obviously give Tuchel the sack and go for someone else. Now, the interesting part here is, when do they roll the dice? Do they roll, because obviously now they're hoping that other teams can obviously do them a favour in terms of beating Leverkusen to, of course, try and bridge that 8-point gap right now. Not for the first time that Bayern have obviously tried to ask for the help of other teams to chase down other people. We remember at the end of last season in that Bundesliga title race that went right the way down to the wire, Dortmund were in pole position to take the title and ultimately bottled it on the final day, allowing Bayern to take that title for, again, however long it has been in a row. Not for the first time are they going to be doing that, but it's about how they do it. So they're 8 points adrift. Do they go for it now? Do they go for it if they get knocked out of the Champions League? Do they suffer another couple of defeats and then ultimately throw in the towel? It's going to be interesting to see what happens with Bayern Munich and whether or not they do stick with Thomas Tuchel, given the situation that is presented before them as of right now in terms of the league title race, which is, of course, has been Bayern's bread and butter for a number of years. Do they go for it? Do they give him the sack? Do they look more towards the future? Do they go an interim manager and just see what happens? There are a few possibilities here open to Bayern Munich, and it's a big roll of the dice whichever way they go about it. Like I say, the performances haven't quite been there this season. The results haven't as well. Even Harry Kane's incredible goal-scoring record right now in the Bundesliga is no match for the incredible machine that is Bayer Leverkusen right now. It's an incredible thing to watch, and it's an incredible moment potentially in Bundesliga history what Xabi Alonso is doing right now. It's absolutely phenomenal. But like I say, the reports came out last night that they are maybe considering Thomas Tuchel's future, which is completely understandable. Some of the names to come out are the likes of Hansi Flick. Now, Hansi Flick's already said he doesn't want to return to Bayern Munich, so maybe we can cast that one aside almost instantaneously. Then there was Antonio Conte. Now, Conte values Bayern Munich extremely highly, one of the best clubs in the world. I think he ranked him in his top 3 clubs in the world, and he would love to manage the German giants one day. It's certainly a possibility, but would you really take him as the manager of Bayern Munich right now, considering how he failed at Tottenham, considering that that we know he's a bit explosive, we know he's a bit we know he's a bit fragile in terms of that aspect, in terms of you annoy him to an extent, he's going to walk away. And as great as what Bayern have been, and you would probably expect Bayern to redeem themselves the next campaign and probably go on and win the Bundesliga title for then, is he maybe the guy for a more long-term sort of a long-term sort of gain there? Interesting for Antonio Conte. We know that Jose Mourinho has also flirted with the idea of maybe being the Bayern Munich manager one day. Of course, obviously being sacked from Roma earlier on this season, he's obviously out of a job right now. This could be his last crack at a major team. So it could be very interesting to see what happens with Jose Mourinho. But again, it doesn't reek to me of long-term thinking if you go for a guy who is a little bit of a has-been, with all due respect to an incredible winner in Jose Mourinho, but is still a very decent cup manager. So, you know, cup-wise, okay. League-wise, maybe not. Maybe not for Jose Mourinho. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's name was mentioned, but it seemed like a bit like an Among Us story. He's a bit of an imposter in the mix. Why would you go for Solskjaer? Yeah, I think we can discredit that one immediately, unless obviously... Well, then again, this is the same team that decided to give Eric Dyer a contract at one of the biggest clubs in European and world football right now. So I guess anything is possible if they're going to give Eric Dyer a contract. So maybe we should be considering Ole Gunnar Solskjaer as a replacement for Thomas Tuchel going forward. I wouldn't put it past them right now, especially if they did give Eric Dyer, of all people, a contract at the club. It's a bit weird to me, but whatever. Solskjaer's name has been mentioned, but I think the one that obviously is sticking, and the one that is a big fear, especially to those that are Liverpool fans that want this guy at the end of the season when Jurgen Klopp leaves, is Xabi Alonso himself. Now, of course, Alonso, like we said and like we talked about, is doing an incredible job right now at Bayer Leverkusen. But at the end of the season, it is highly sort of that he may be leaving Leverkusen for, with all due respect again, bigger teams on the horizon. And apparently there is still that rumour circulating that he does have something in his contract that if one of the clubs that he's played for during his playing career comes in for him and asks him to be their manager, he is allowed to talk to them. So the likes of Real Sociedad, Liverpool, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, they're all welcome to talk to him at the end of the season if that is to be their want. Liverpool, like I say, have seemingly made him their first choice. A lot of Liverpool fans have as well. Now, with this whole situation, could there be a domino effect here in which Alonso wins the Bundesliga title to set himself up to become the Bayern Munich manager? It's going to be interesting to see what happens with Xabi Alonso anyway, but it does seem that with more and more fragility and more pressure going on to Thomas Tuchel throughout the rest of his Bayern career, however long that will be, it does seem interesting that it could be a bit of a tug of war developing between Liverpool and Bayern Munich over who gets this newly highly rated with high potential manager that is currently doing a phenomenal job with Bayer Leverkusen right now. So it could be an interesting development playing out with Xabi Alonso. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with Bayern Munich, how they roll the dice here. Do they sack him before the end of the season? Do they just keep him till the end of the campaign and let him just run its course for this season? And who do they go for in terms of a replacement? Like I say, there are a few managers out there that have been mentioned that I've talked about. Xabi Alonso seems to be a very good fit. Obviously knows the Bundesliga from his time at Leverkusen, of course, knows the club inside and out from his playing days there, and of course is a highly rated manager that can definitely build something for the here and now as well as for the long-term future, which I think is what Bayern have been trying to do for a while. They tried to do it under Nagelsmann. It didn't quite work out with him. And then obviously Thomas Tuchel comes in as a bit of a highly regarded manager, highly rated, obviously knows the Bundesliga very well from his time at Dortmund and everything. So it kind of made sense there. So Alonso may tick a few of them kind of boxes, and obviously a big box in terms of ticking the long-term future kind of aspect of a manager. But we'll have to wait and see, because obviously, like I say, there could be a big tug of war developing between Bayern and Liverpool right now, and he may want to try his luck in a different league, obviously a league that he knows all too well from his time at Liverpool and everything. So might want to try his luck in a different league. Like I say, I'd love to see him at Liverpool. I've weighed my 2 cents on this. I've said De Zerbi, but it's a very close contest between De Zerbi and Alonso, in my opinion. I'm not too fussed whichever way. I think both could be a very good success for the Reds. But obviously this is about Bayern Munich, and we're obviously going to be talking about Bayern Munich here. And I think that obviously with the season that's been for Bayern, they definitely need to redeem themselves next season, and bringing in Alonso could be massive for that. It could be massive for the present as well as for the future, because this season's been a bit of a car crash as far as what Bayern are concerned. They're not used to losing. They're not used to losing in the manner that they are, and they're not used to losing frequently as what they are, and they're not used to having to play catch up at the top of the Bundesliga with a margin of at the very least right now at the time of recording 8 points. They're certainly not used to spending a lot of money and it failing. I'm not saying Harry Kane is a failure or Kim Min-jae is a failure, but the entire squad as a whole it's just not functioning right now to obviously be the title contenders or title challengers right now that Bayern tend to be. So a lot of it is down to the manager. They have spent a lot of money. It hasn't quite worked out so far in terms of the overall aspect of the team, but we shall see how it all pans out. It's going to be very interesting to see how this Bayern Munich team go about their business going forward. Obviously, there's a big Champions League game against Lazio coming up in a week or two's time. In a few weeks, well, it might actually be a few weeks. I've lost track of my days. In a few weeks' time, and obviously the second leg in which Bayern will have to overturn a loss. So that could be massive in their season, as well as obviously going forward. They need to stop the rot that's currently developing in the Bundesliga with their current form. So there's a lot to be focusing on for Bayern Munich, not just in terms of the title, but in terms of the present and the here and now, in terms of their form and everything, as well as for the Champions League. So a lot to focus on, a lot of questions being asked. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens with the Bayern Munich situation. And of course, their manager, Thomas Tuchel, going forward in what is going to be a very intriguing end to the campaign for Bayern Munich, in which they are under serious threat of losing their Bundesliga crown come the end of the campaign. These are just the thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you want to call it, of this guy. I want to know what you guys think. What do you make of this entire Bayern Munich situation? What do you make of the Thomas Tuchel situation? Should he be sacked? Should he be kept on till the end of the campaign? And if he should be sacked, who should be the man to replace him? Should it be a Xabi Alonso? Oh, I didn't actually mention Zinedine Zidane's name has been mentioned as well. He has been mentioned. He likes the idea of the Bundesliga, likes the idea of Germany. So he could be one to look out for, definitely, in regards to this. I've completely forgotten Zidane. I don't understand why I forgot about one of the greatest players of all time, turned a great manager. So Zidane's name's also been mentioned. He should be also involved in the equation as well. So that could be very interesting. But Zidane... Zidane, Mourinho, Conte, Solskjaer, bizarrely, and of course Alonso. Would one of them names be a good fit for Bayern Munich, or is there someone else that you would probably consider to be the next manager of Bayern Munich? Let me know down below in the comment section. It should all make for interesting and great reading. Anything that you have to say on this particular topic. Otherwise, hit the like button on the way up and if you enjoy the video. Subscribe if you're new and want to see more content like this. Both things are always very greatly appreciated. And of course, thank you all so much for watching and listening. I've been Fletch. This has been another Fletch Talks video, and I'll see you all again soon in another video or live stream or whatever it may be. Cheers, guys. Thanks everyone for watching. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'll speak to you all again very soon.